All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CTA Construction Talks. Today is Monday, January 26, 2026, and it is just after 12 o'clock p.m. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We're excited to continue the conversation around workforce development and what it looks like in action on CTA construction projects. Today's discussion is focused on CTA workforce goals in action, how goals are set, how they're implemented on projects, and how collaboration between contractors and workforce partners helps drive real outcomes for communities and the industry overall. My name is Gurnell Turner, Senior Coordinator of Workforce Initiatives here at CTA, or Chicago Transit Authority, and I'll be facilitating today's conversation. We're joined by two great partners bringing different but complementary perspectives. We have Lakeisha Hilliard, Regional Public Engagement and Compliance Manager with the Walsh Group, who will share the contractor perspective on implementing workforce goals. We also have Manny Rodriguez, Founder and Executive Director of Revolution Workshop, one of CTA's workforce partner agencies, who will speak to preparing and supporting talent entering the trades. We'll be taking questions through the chat feature. You can submit questions at any time during the conversation, and we'll address them after our speakers have finished their remarks. At the end, I'll also share upcoming CTA workforce events and ways to stay connected with CTA and our partners. And if you've missed any past sessions or want to revisit them, CTA Construction Talks are available on our YouTube channel under CTA Doors Opening. You can access the full Construction Talks playlist from there at any time. All right. What are Construction Talks? Construction Talks is a virtual hour-long webinar series we host every month. It's designed to bring together construction contractors, the trades, community-based organizations, young people, and anyone interested in building a career in construction. This space is intentionally inclusive. It's intentionally inclusive, whether you're already working on CTA projects, supporting workforce development, or exploring how to enter the construction industry. Construction Talks is meant for you. The purpose of this series is threefold: to educate stakeholders about construction careers, to deepen understanding of CTA's workforce initiatives and goals, and to inspire participation and partnership across the industry through ongoing conversations. Why it matters. These conversations help connect policy, practice, and people. So workforce goals aren't just requirements, but real opportunities. Construction Talks takes place on fourth Mondays of each month. Can I say that again? Construction Talks takes place on fourth Mondays of each month at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sessions are held via Zoom unless otherwise noted. With that context, let's move into today's discussion and explore how CTA workforce goals show up in action. CTA Workforce Initiatives is focused on building strong partnerships across contractors, workforce agencies, and the building trades to create clear, equitable pathways into construction careers. We share information on job openings across CTA construction projects and connect job seekers to training, skills development, and career coaching with our workforce agency partners to support long-term success. We help contractors access apprentice and journey persons from Chicago communities, strengthening local hiring pipelines. And we collaborate with building trades and workforce partners to advocate for construction careers and expand opportunity. All of this work directly supports the workforce goals CTA sets for its construction contractors, which we'll walk through next. Let's begin with defining workforce goals for CTA construction contracts. Simply put, CTA workforce goals ensure that construction projects deliver both infrastructure improvements and inclusive economic opportunity for Chicagoans. In practice, CTA workforce goals aim to do a few things. I'll run through them quickly. Increased participation of Chicago residents, particularly individuals from underrepresented and economically disadvantaged communities. Expand access for people of color and women in building trades. Create pathways into apprenticeship and long-term careers, not just short-term project jobs. Set clear expectations for contractor recruitment, hiring, and retention. Align workforce participation targets with the scope, size, and labor demands of each project. Promote safe, respectful, and harassment-free work sites, which is monitored by labor compliance site visits. And we'll talk more about that as well. Monitor and track outcomes through certified payrolls, workforce utilization data, and compliance reviews. Leverage participation with unions, community-based organizations, and workforce agencies to support pipeline development. Ultimately, CTA's workforce goals are about using public investment to build both critical infrastructure and lasting opportunity, strengthening the construction workforce, supporting equitable access to union careers, and ensuring projects deliver meaningful benefits to Chicago's communities now and into the future. What are the types of goals? So there's 3 types of goals that CTA usually sets on their construction contracts, each serving a different purpose in building an equitable and accountable workforce system. The career opportunities is a participation goal that ensures participation by dislocated workers and individuals from economically disadvantaged or underrepresented communities. It targets hiring dislocated and economically disadvantaged workers as defined under the federally administered programs such as WIOA program and HUD regulations under CHA Section 3. Apprenticeship is a participation goal that ensures individuals in registered apprenticeship programs have meaningful access to work hours on CTA construction projects, supporting skill development, career progression, and a sustainable pipeline into the trades. Dozens of building trades work on CTA projects, and each has different requirements for entry and progression. CTA, along with its workforce partners, collaborate with the trades to ensure the workforce goals are met. Economic disadvantage area, also known as EDA, is a participation goal that ensures residents from economically disadvantaged communities, local and sometimes nationally, as well as residents from CTA service areas, have access to employment opportunities on CTA construction projects, helping direct investment and career pathways into communities most impacted by disinvestment. Together, these 3 workforce goal types, career opportunities, apprenticeship, and economic disadvantaged area, work as a coordinated system to expand access, build skill, and ensure that CTA construction investments create meaningful long-term career opportunities for the communities we serve. Now that we've outlined what these workforce goals are and why they matter, let's take a closer look at how contractors, workforce partners, and CTA work together to implement and support these goals in practice. CTA's approach to workforce goals is rooted in partnership and support. Our role is not just to set goals, but to actively help contractors meet them. We work with contractors early, often during pre-construction, to clearly explain workforce goals, reporting requirements, and expectations so there are no surprises once work begins. CTA connects contractors to vetted workforce partners, community-based organizations, and the building trades when needed to help identify apprentice, journey persons, and qualified workers from target communities. We provide ongoing technical assistance with prevailing wage data software used to monitor workforce goal attainment, answer questions, and help troubleshoot challenges as they arise, whether that's recruitment, documentation, coordination with partners, you name it. Throughout the project, we monitor workforce participation or goal attainment using required software and data analytics, and meet with contractors regularly to review progress, identify gaps early, and adjust strategies to stay on track. We also perform labor compliance site visits where workers are interviewed to ensure adherence to safety standards, harassment-free, and respectful work environments. This collaborative approach helps contractors succeed while ensuring workforce goals translate into real opportunities on CTA projects. You can also see our workforce partners there on the screen. All right, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the Regional Public Engagement and Compliance Manager for the Walsh Group, Community Business and Partnership Strategist, Senior Leader and Decision Problem Solver, Dynamic Advocate for Workforce Development and Education, and member of CTA Workforce Advisory Committee, Ms. Lakeisha Hilliard. So happy to have you today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We also have with us the founder and executive director of Revolution Workshop, 15 plus years of experience in economic development, member of Chicago Cook Workforce Innovation Board, U of I Urbana-Champaign graduates, and also a member of our CTA Workforce Advisory Committee, Mr. Manny Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, if you're ready, Lakeisha, I can jump right into questions with you.
Let's do it.
All right. When you think about CTA's workforce goals, how do they show up in day-to-day project planning at the Walsh Group?
Oh, that's a good question. And just may I say too, I'm looking especially forward to this conversation today because I feel like this is like where the real magic happens on projects like this when like everyone comes together. So again, thank you for having me. But all right, so how does CTA workforce goals show up day to day? Is that what you said at Walsh in planning? Well, I think the CTA workforce goals really show up for us at Walsh Venti. And as you know, I'm with Walsh, but Walsh Venti is the prime that was selected for the Red Line Extension project. And so that project is obviously underway currently. But how the workforce goals show up day to day is we plan intentionally and how we communicate. The workforce goals aren't just something like we layer on like after the fact. They're literally embedded in our procurement process, our procurement strategy, our scheduling, and then how we mobilize everything out in the field. So if I can speak to RLE specifically, like we're constantly thinking about workforce, right? Outcomes at the same time that we're thinking about scope releases. So when you guys get those, weekly or monthly 3-month look aheads or our weekly, procurement invitations to bid, if you're on CTA's network or on our list or on Revolution Workshops, list of trade assist agencies that are getting these procurement packages, we're asking questions like what trades are coming as a result of these scopes that we're releasing, right? What's next? What skills are going to be needed if we're, letting some substructure out? And, how do we need to make sure that the local workforce is aware and going to be prepared? So we're doing that intentionally in our communication to you all, CTA as the owner, and to partners like Manny at Revolution Workshop. So that's day to day.
Yeah, great answer. Intentionality is key. That's a great tip to any contractors that may be joining us on the call. So moving right along, Lakeisha, building a diverse workforce doesn't happen by accident, as you just explained, right? Intentionality, among other things, is key. What has worked best for you in attracting and retaining workers on large public projects?
So this project, Red Line Extension, is my first mega project, obviously with Walsh. As you know, I've been in the role over a year now. But you're absolutely right. Diverse workforces do not happen by accident, right? What's working best, and I'm saying working because this is a present tense, everyday happening thing, as we get ready to ramp up construction to, deploy the workforce, if you will. What's worked best for us is consistency and trust so far. Like we're in the community now. We're situated in the community. Our project office is there. We're attending all of the events with CTA. We're attending events that we're invited to, really just to show that Walsh Venti is a community-based contractor. We're here, and we're focusing on clear communication. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. And we're actually like doing that work about all the opportunities. We're being realistic about the like job expectations. And then we're going to
Mhm.
deploy strong onboarding, when these opportunities are ready and right here at us, when we're like, it's time to start this project. Our onboarding is going to be so strong so people feel supported from day one. Um, what else can I say about attracting a diverse retention, and it improves when I think workers understand the project and they see pathways to steady work and feel respected on the site. So as we, construction groundbreaking is to happen here coming up in quarter 2. So this is what we're thinking about. This is what my team and I, are thinking about ahead of time. So
Yeah, that's a great point, Lakeisha, that you
mm,
bring up. Trust,
yeah,
accountability, transparency. I love that those things are at the forefront of you guys' strategy when you're thinking about large public projects like the RLE
yeah,
and being present in the community to communicate, and not just communicate, but show up and show in action
mhm,
that you guys are trustworthy, that you're engaged, and that you want to engage talent from the community in a respectful way. I love that. I love that. I can't wait for Manny to chime in on like what this feels like, from his perspective, training that talent and building that talent
yeah.
pipeline up. And if you guys are receiving what it is that Walsh is giving when you guys participate with CTA for projects like RLE and others.
I mean, you guys set some really ambitious goals, right? Like from the procurement aspect and for workforce, especially for, a heavy civil project like this. So, community-based organizations are going to be key to like helping us reach talent that may not otherwise see themselves in construction too, and unions are going to play a critical role in training and safety
Mhm.
and like a lot of the long-term career paths. So when those relationships are strong, like what we're already doing and what we've been doing for the past year with the Revolution workshops, with this, the CWITs, the Higher 360s, the Metropolitan Family Services, they're going to be key because Walsh, we're the prime, but we're not always looking for people. A lot of people travel with us from project to project. So we need these community-based partnerships, especially on a mega project like this, and especially for the goals that you guys have set forth. And I feel like when those relationships are strong, people are more prepared, and the project is just stronger as a result of that.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Lakeisha. You're actually giving us a perfect segue into our next question because
Oh,
as you mentioned, these projects are huge public infrastructure projects. They have a lot of moving parts. You guys are the prime, but you also have to engage your subprimes. You have to engage the labor unions to, do different aspects of the project. And while you guys aren't always doing a lot of the direct hiring at the Walsh Group or Walsh Vinci, there's other hiring opportunities that
mhm.
impact the project. And you guys, as the prime, are leaning into the responsibility of working with the community-based partners in order to make sure that those opportunities can be filled with folks that are deserving, right? So
Absolutely.
how do you navigate workforce compliance while keeping projects on schedule? And I know RLE is
Right.
first project you're on. I
Yeah.
do think that you have some historical context. Walsh
Yeah.
worked with RPM.
Yeah.
So if you want to, include any historical context that you might have, or, just forecasting into any strategy that you may, foresee for RLE, just how are you navigating that workforce compliance and keeping up with the project schedule? Because a lot of contractors, they struggle with that. They have to
Yeah.
build the thing and they also have to engage the
Yeah.
community at the same time. So
Well, that's why we're washed though. We don't have those problems. No, I'm joking. But well, really, compliance and schedule don't really have to compete, is what I've learned. In just being on the kind of the end and learning from others on the RPM with you all. They don't have to compete with each other, but they do require like a lot of coordination, right? So I think that's where we're good at. as a big prime. A lot of people are like, oh, do you guys have a procurement package for a construction manager? Well, we are the construction managers, right? We do really good at this coordination and seeing we're like expert in what we do when it comes to this stuff. So for me, sitting back and like watching a lot of the senior project managers, to the engineers, I just watched the level of coordination and detail that comes with this. So it's not really a competition of compliance. And then when you have a team like myself and Kate, and now Cheryl is on our team to come together who are going to help take some of that off of the plate from the compliance aspect. We're there watching. Our superintendents are, in with us now, preparing for the coordination of the schedule and making sure that we're going to meet those goals that you guys set forth. I think what I've learned that has helped us with building clear processes and accountability across this entire chain, from the tradesperson to like the foreman to superintendent, all the way to like the corporate reporting, is when everyone understands their role. Compliance becomes a part of like the workflow. It's not like a last minute scramble. Everybody's not going, crazy about it, but it's embedded because we're there. We're in the meeting, we're at the table, we're in the room. So we're constantly reminding our whole project team that this is what we have to do, and we're like in their face. We're embedded in all of the processes. Like I attend the 5-week look ahead meetings now, and it just gives an employee so much more knowledge. So I can see, oh, this is 5 weeks, but then I just gave a 3-month look ahead and we're procuring this. So we're going to need this. Oh, and then how many, do we have from this zip code or from, it just brings it all together as one culmination, one big project team that everybody is now a part of the workforce compliance aspect of it too.
Yeah, I love that, Lakeisha. Great insights there. Contractors, listen up. Did you hear that?
Oh, you
Run
make
that
me
back,
blush.
replay it on YouTube. CTA doors open. I love that because what that's doing is helping other contractors to understand that you guys are preventing the smaller issues from becoming bigger challenges by, engaging and thinking about the workforce goals in the onset, and then working to communicate that and coordinate that across all of the different stakeholders. And I love the point that you made about like everybody playing their own role, and how when everyone is doing their part, that compliance isn't an afterthought, right? That it's organically happening throughout the project from start to finish. That's so
And let me
exciting.
just add our partner, because this is a joint venture for this project with Walsh and Vinci. And Vinci, as you know or may not know, is like just maybe 4 times to 10 times larger than us in Europe, right? And so they're very detailed, like the Walsh folks that we have too. We're all like, it's different the way that they, see the project too. But, as experts, when we all come together with our various expertise, I think that the focus that we all share in common is that we focus on early issue identification. Like, is that going to be a problem? Because small things, in timekeeping or reporting can grow into big things if they're not caught quickly or early, or if they're even ignored, right? So having like these regular check-ins, our strong systems with both teams, and then open communication constantly, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, daily, it helps get in front of things and resolve them early, and just keeps the project moving, to a point where you guys as our owner don't even know that, a small little thing could cause a glitch or whatever, because we're on it, in advance. So I think that's important too.
That's a great plug. Shout out to Vinci on this joint venture and
Yeah.
how they plug into the project. That's
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah, we're
awesome.
one team, so I just want to make sure that I acknowledge that, because I know a lot of people oftentimes they see the big green W and they just like, oh, it's Walsh, it's Walsh. But no, on RLE, specifically with CTA, it's Walsh Vinci. And so, working with them, and that in itself is diverse. You have a group of other people who have worked across the globe, in construction, in design, and now we're all together as one team for this big, community project on the South Side, historical project on the South Side. But bringing everyone's expertise for the same outcome, I'm noticing is really like that the early intervention and just all the communication definitely like speaks volumes to what we have going on with compliance and participation, as one team, and it falls into the workflow.
Yeah, for me, as someone who grew up in Chicago, specifically on the far south side, what that translates to me is that there's global expertise in construction
Mhm.
working on the Red Line Extension project. And they are not just focused on workforce goals in collaboration with Walsh Group, but also about like bringing some world-class infrastructure to the area.
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
that's so exciting for so many reasons.
Yep.
Okay, before I go into a sidebar, let me get your next question in here. Why is tracking and reporting workforce data important beyond just meeting requirements from the
Mm.
WASH perspective?
Repeat that question for me again. Let me just make sure I.
Yeah, sure. Why is tracking and reporting workforce data important beyond meeting requirements? Like, what does that mean? You talked a lot about like,
Right.
WASH
Mhm.
up to community events and being
Yeah.
engaged in the community. And, I'm just wondering here, what does this mean to WASH? Like, where are WASH's perspectives on, workforce data being important, just beyond CTA workforce goals?
I feel like just like with the businesses, that the goals that we have that you guys set for businesses with, small businesses, I feel like workforce tracking and reporting are about much more than just like checking that box, right? It
Mhm.
is because when we track and then we share these outcomes with you guys, we're telling the story of like where we are and what the impact is thus far. Like who's working, how opportunities are reaching the community, and where improvements are needed. So it helps us stay on track. And then obviously we give that data to you guys so you can know where we are too, obviously. So you can know what needs to be, if there's any intervention that needs to happen. Again, back to what we said initially, like it's transparency, which builds trust, you know. Um,
Mhm.
CTA is building trust with you guys, is building trust with, community stakeholders, our partners like Manny's team, and just the general public. I think you guys do a great job of reporting data out constantly, but we want to make sure you're getting that data accurately and telling the accurate story. So it helps with continuous improvement. It allows others to see what's working. It allows us to see what's working, you to see what's working, what's not working, so far. So rather, and I always tell like our team, don't be afraid. If we're not at the goal yet, I mean, obviously we're not at the goal with workforce because we have not yet started. I mean, we have some workforce numbers when we report out on a biweekly basis, but it doesn't matter. I would rather just be honest about where we are or where we are not yet with the goal so we can get some help to figure out how we're going to reach that versus getting to the end of the road and we're like, oh, well, we tried, but we never told y'all, tell you constantly because you'll see the trend. If I'm telling you every
Yeah.
week the goal is 10%, but we're at 7, we're gonna like, okay, well, what's up with that 3%? Or what's happening that you're not at the benchmark yet. So it allows for us to communicate, you guys to really see how ambitious the goals are, but that we're really trying and we're trying to be ambitious, to meet the goals. So I just think that it just helps close gaps or show where the gaps are. And I feel like
Yeah.
in the end, too, good reporting, it really strengthens like accountability. It,
Yeah.
it really helps
Mhm.
us as a whole project team deliver a better quality project.
Yeah, excellent points again, Lakeisha. I love that transparency and accountability means something to
Yeah.
you. I can't wait to get Manny's perspective here. I hope Manny can appreciate that you were saying that CTA's workforce goals are aggressive because Manny is always discussing, pushing the bar and setting higher expectations, not just for our contractors, but our all of our other relationships with the building
Yeah.
trades and things like that. So I hope you can appreciate this, Manny, that Walsh feels like these goals are ambitious.
Many gonna have something to say, but I'm ready for
Well,
me.
you already know, Lakeisha. I mean, look, like I think it's important. There's a couple things like Lakeisha. I'm so happy to hear you say. One on the front end, there has to be intentionality and partnership from the beginning if you're going to really make any change.
Yep.
We've all been a part of projects, all of us, all three of us,
Mhm.
others on this call, where it's more of a check the box.
Yeah.
And, I think for me, representing an organization that represents a lot of folks in these underserved communities, it's important to be pushing and
Yeah.
saying, no, that's not good enough. We can't just be checking a box. We
Yeah.
can't just be reporting 5 months after that particular scope of the project is done, and there's no way to now triage and get in and help alleviate whatever challenge there is and work together, right? That's the important piece to solving that challenge. And Lakeisha, I spot on. We push data transparency. You all know how close we are with Chicago Women in Trades.
Yeah.
Jane's my older sister. I've learned so much from her. And and part of it is, data transparency has been lacking in a lot of these projects. And CTA actually has been, and Lakeisha, I'll uplift this and Grinnell for you and CTA, because sometimes in the meetings I always seem like I'm beating y'all up, but I promise I'm gonna give you your flowers when you deserve them too. I do believe that you guys do a really great job of collecting the data and reporting out of it.
Yeah.
And that is so important, because if we don't know what's happening in real time, how can we fix it?
Yep.
And so some of those things really resonated with me. And again, I think if you're a workforce agency, any workforce, whether you serve construction, manufacturing, TDL, it doesn't matter. If you don't have authentic relationships with the Lakeishas of the world, you are failing any participant that has come through your door. At the end of the day, the end customer is Walsh Vinci, right? I want them to hire the participants from my program. If I'm not giving them the talent that they need, they're not going to do that. So it's very critical to have these partnerships and relationships and have an owner developer, in this case, CTA, that is fostering that kind of collaboration.
Absolutely.
You're spot on, Manny, as usual, spot on. I'm so excited to get into your portion of the questions here. And you're absolutely right. Speaking as a former leader of workforce programs in the nonprofit sector, I can tell you that what you're saying is absolutely right. I spent many years as a job developer, and your employer at the end of the day is your end user, your end customer. And you always want to be thinking about, what they're doing, the integrity of their business, what their true intentions are when it comes to your program participants, if you want to serve them in the best way. So wonderful comments there, Manny. Thank you so much. Let's jump right into your first question. Revolution Workshop prepares people for careers in the trades. What does job readiness really mean when you're preparing participants for CTA construction projects?
Yeah, I think for me, job readiness has a couple of different components, right? Especially when you're talking about construction. It's very important for us. We designed a 12-week trades pathway program where we're taking folks from, again, underserved communities in these EDA regions, and we're saying, hey, this is a lucrative career pathway for you. But here are some of the things that we need to make sure that you know before you're really ready to take advantage of this opportunity. So on the skill side, everybody focuses on the technical skills, and we do give them a very robust set of entry-level technical skills. We give them what I like to call the foundational knowledge, right? Know how to do math, know how to read a blueprint, know how to be safe, know how to operate tools, hand tools and power tools, know how to handle material, know how to do some basic rigging, know how to communicate, right? Know how to work as a team. I focus on those last two, but on the technical side, we do give them a nice, real robust set. We do give them certifications from the NCCR. They do walk out of here with first aid and CPR certifications as well. But that's not the secret sauce to job readiness. A lot of the folks that I'm serving may never have had successful employment before in your traditional sense. And they may not be coming from places where they've seen success in any real way. And I used to say that I give people second chances, but let's be honest, a lot of times I'm giving people a first chance, a legitimate first chance. And so the soft skills piece of it, working with our employers to figuring out, okay, yes, on the technical, this is the basic that you need. Working with our union partners to say, okay, here's the basic aptitude that they need to pass the entrance exams to go ahead and be a successful first-year apprentice. But I think it's more about looking at the person holistically. And Grinnell, I know that second question is going to talk a little bit more about barriers. So I'll kind of hold off there, because I really think that's the secret sauce, is really eliminating in those 12 weeks as many barriers to employment as we can, and whatever we can't fix, because 12 weeks isn't a lot of time. And I always shocks me how people think that organizations like mine are supposed to like snap our fingers and solve every societal ill within 12 weeks. That's not realistic, right? So we have to create plans from when they exit out of here and continue to support them. But in the meantime, yes, there are barriers. We have to address them. We have to look at the person holistically. Again, it's not enough to give them the technical skills and say good luck. We have to actually really educate them on construction. What are the pathways? What are, there's 39 different locals in our Chicago Building Trades Council. Each one of them has a different entry process and does a different thing. And so it's like, what speaks to you? What does your aptitude more align with? What do your interests more align with? And not forcing somebody into a path just because they feel a little bit of desperation, right? Because they need to eat, right? And it's very, very common that, again, you can do unintentional harm forcing somebody down a path that really isn't the right path for them.
I can appreciate that, Manny. You said a lot right there, right? I love that the secret sauce to job readiness is the soft skill development. Those executive skills are so key. I love that you're emphasizing and underscoring that you guys are not just working with them to the placement, but up and through and beyond the placement as well, right? Because that's so important. There's no way you're going to solve a lifetime of systemic impact in 12 weeks, right? One of the most interesting things that I remember thinking when I first came to CTA about 2 years ago was that the workforce partnership contracts were like multiple years. And I love that idea because the work that the partners are doing with the participants that may be entering contracts today, they're going to be continuing to work with those people ongoing to support retention. And that is also a part of that secret sauce that you're talking about there, Manny. So thank you so much for that response. I saw Lakeisha just like earing in and like really listening and getting a good insight into what you're saying the secret sauce is here. And you're also segueing us perfectly into the next question. You ready? Here it is. CTA workforce goals emphasize access and opportunity. How does Revolution Workshop, and you touched on this a little bit already, help open doors for individuals who may not have traditionally seen a pathway into the trades?
Yeah, I think it really comes in the form of education, right? So we have to really educate our communities on these opportunities. And a lot of people think that construction, they think construction and they think, oh, I could be a carpenter, I could be a laborer, I could be an electrician. There's so many other jobs within. I mean, Lakeisha, what you're doing, right? You work for a general contractor, but what you're doing, you're not building a wall or you're, laying track. You're actually helping manage and coordinate the actual activity of that project. And so I think it's a very important, the very first step is that we are actively participating in trade fairs and school fairs, school career fairs, going out to the community, working with our industry partners on community outreach events. That I don't want to be what it used to be, right? 10, 15 years ago, you have these job fairs and all these contractors would be on the table and you get a resume and says, okay, well, are you a union card holder? And they would say, no. Oh, well, I can't help you. I don't want to participate in that no more. It left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, especially in the community. It created distrust of our sector with the community. So some of this is we have to repair some of that, right? And we have to really be transparent and educate people that there are multiple pathways in construction. There are multiple subsectors in construction. There's union versus non, authentic pathways in both. I'm not here to tell you what team to play for, what type of player to be in the game. I'm here to teach you how to play the game. And so that is a big part of what we're doing. Obviously, once we bring them in, now it's about, okay, you say you want construction, we've interviewed you, so we go through a whole process. We have information sessions. You have to attend one of those. In those information sessions, we're giving you the good, bad, and ugly of the industry. Because again, I don't like to lie to anybody. I want you to walk in with your eyes wide open with as much information as I can provide you as possible. So you're making an educated decision on how to proceed. And so that's very important to me. I don't want Revolution Workshop to be another system where we've lied to the very people that we're trying to serve, right? And they have been lied to for generations. So we're very intentional about that. Then they get a one-on-one interview, and it's not really to, oh, okay, see how they test, or, oh, it's really to see, okay, where are you right now? Where's your life right now? We're not geared to help somebody that is at rock bottom. But we have a network of CBOs all over the city of Chicago that do different things: homeless shelters, violence prevention organizations, recovery centers. We're going to send you there first if that's what you need to get somewhat stable so that you're ready to do a 12-week program like ours. And then if you are, then you come in and we do our 12 weeks. And in that first couple weeks, we have a probationary period. Because again, you may think in your heart of hearts, you really want to do construction. And then when I put you on that extension ladder to go up and you're afraid of heights, do you really want to do construction? When you over here showing up and you're like, man, this is dirty and dusty. And like, do you really want to do construction? Oh, it's really, really loud. Yeah, it is. When we're deconstructing the homes that we build. Yeah, it's loud, it's dusty, it's dirty. Do you really want to do construction? It's a way for them to trial run us. No harm, no foul. If this isn't for you, I'm not going to be offended by that. I actually think that's a positive outcome. I think we in this society, we want everything to be like this, and it's not like that. Nothing in life is like this. You have to be able to provide authentic, pathways, on and off ramps off the road, right? It's not just one on ramp and one off ramp, on a highway. It's multiple. So you can jump in at this point, pop out at this point. And then when you're ready, maybe you're going to pop back on that road. But when you're ready, and those are the kind of things that we really want to focus on. Then we do an intense barriers assessment. I want to know, we run their credit. We go over that for them. We do our barriers and life skills is in 3 major pillars. Executive functioning, Gernell, you mentioned that earlier. So, how do I know what triggers me, right? How do you communicate? How do you deal with difficult people? Because the way you learn how to deal with it in survival mode ain't going to help you keep this job in job mode. So how do you code switch? Some things that you're able to say in the street, you can't be saying up in a workplace, those kind of things, really getting into those. Then financial capabilities, because we all know construction, especially in a winter city, goes up and down, right? And so in summer, you might be making overtime. You're going to be, well, I don't want you to spend your money like you're in summertime, job. You got to spend your money like you're in the winter collecting an unemployment check, and so it's that kind of stuff. And again, we run their credit, we go over it. And then the last thing is the career track, right? Okay, union versus non. There are very specific things about construction where I try to tell people, I wish I'm going to put you in with somebody that's going to treat you with dignity. I say this to everybody on this call with all the love and admiration. I know a lot of people are from Walsh. Our sector is stuck in the caveman era. There's a lot of Neanderthal behavior that happens on a job site. Any other job site in the world, any other sector, you would be fired immediately for some of the things that happen on a job site. So what I need to do is prepare our folks for that reality and say, look, I hope this never happens to you, but in case it does, these are the steps you have to follow. So that way you don't leave with this, which is what you learn in the street. That's a different survival mode. Again, survival mode makes you do different things. We have to teach them, instead of judging people, we got to teach them these things so that we can eliminate all of those barriers, both internal and external.
Manny, oh my God, such deep insights. And I can really appreciate this because you really gave us there and outlined there what a heavy lift workforce partners have with working with the communities and the people that we're targeting to be on these jobs, because there is talent in these areas, right? There is people who rise to the occasion, right? And I want to hopefully save some time so that maybe you can tell us a little bit about your recent success story with the Walsh Group. But such heavy insights there, deep insights into everything that goes into that work at the community level, right? All of the different assessments, all of the different supports that are being provided to the participants coming out of Revolution Workshop. Last question, Manny, just because I want to make sure I'm leaving enough time for anybody who may have questions in the chat. You mentioned partnership with CBOs, right? Because you guys can't take people from the bottom, right? Like you have to get people when they're ready to complete a 12-week program and be ready after that for an apprenticeship and prepared to work on a project like a CTA construction project, right? Partnership is central to CTA's workforce strategy, as was outlined earlier in today's talk, right? What does effective collaboration with contractors and unions look like from the Revolution Workshop perspective?
Gernal, I don't know if you know this, Revolution Workshop from day one had an active and engaged employer advisory council. We literally have a council made up of folks from contractors that are then telling us, labor market demand, technology trends, industry changes, what our trainees are, what our alumni are doing well, and what we could be doing better in the program. And I think that's a perfect example of the type of partnership. When Lakeisha said it has to be intentional, it's so true. You can't have a relationship where it's just checking a box. That will never work. That does nothing other than to, affectionately call it CYA. That's all it is. But if you really want to change this, it's going to take multiple people to change it, right? And in our industry, you have the unions, you have the contractors, you have organizations like us, we have folks like you, Gernal. Like, again, it takes all of us play a role to making sure, one, we're opening up the doors of access to these family thriving careers, right? Two, that we're supporting these apprentices once they join the apprenticeship, right? Whether that's the contractor making sure that they provide a culture where they're not, killing apprentices. And, also, the unions that they're adequately and backing and providing supports for folks that are underserved, which has not have always been traditionally their strong suit either. And so all of us play a role. And then you as the owner developer setting the goals and then holding everybody accountable to that. Me as the workforce provider, making sure I'm taking the input that Lakeisha, not getting offended by it, but actually diving in and saying, okay, well, explain that to me. I'm trying to do it this way. Does this work? No? Okay, then we keep workshopping it together. But that is in a relationship. Yeah. And I cannot hide, that emphasize that enough. If you think it's just going to be, okay, well, I'm going to do this little tweak and we're done. That's not how we got to this place. So that's not how we're going to get out of it, right?
Great point, man. Great point. And not to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
This talk with you forever. I'm so excited about your contributions here. But I do want to underscore a couple of things you said there. The workforce goals, they are ambitious. I want to let you guys know that Charles is in the chat and he's saying, give you guys kudos for, just mentioning that we're setting good workforce goals. He spearheads that part of our work. And we're going to talk more this afternoon about like workforce goals for some incoming contracts. And I know that's something that's important to the work for him. So he definitely wanted to make sure that I gave you guys kudos for mentioning that. You're right, Manny, and Lakeisha mentioned this earlier as well, like every stakeholder playing their role, every person playing their role. That's one of the wonderful things that I find about working at CTA. It takes everyone doing their part to make the entire thing work, and being a part of systems and organizations like that, in my opinion, is how you actually get at changing systemic issues, right? And you mentioned that earlier, Manny. We're dealing with systemic issues here, right? Marginalized access, all these different things. And the only way that we're going to make a positive change for that is by all these systems working together. And I'm so interested and glad to know that you guys have a partnership where you're cultivating relationships with employers like that. That's so important. Okay, really quickly before we jump into our questions, I'm a dreamer, right? So this is to both of you guys, Lakeisha and Manny. Last question. Looking ahead, What would success look like if CTA workforce partners and contractors continued working together around shared workforce goals? And I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. This is a perfect place to plug a recent success story for your professional pathways program, particularly with a young lady posted on the Revolution Workshop LinkedIn page, also on their Instagram. So if you don't know how to follow them, find Revolution Workshop on those social media platforms, because you guys just recently made a really impactful placement.
We did. I think Tanaya might be on the call. I'm not sure, Lakeisha.
She might be under Lakeisha.
Yeah, she might be, but I thought she said Tanaya earlier, but I don't know if it's my Tanaya, but I'm going to assume it is. Tanaya is a great example. I mean, we started, yep, it is Tanaya. We started with the trades, right? And that was our bread and butter, and we were getting, a lot of success there. But obviously we were helping a lot of general contractors, and they were like, hey, they were by accident taking some of the folks out of our trades program and hiring them on the office side as assistant project engineers. So that led us to create the professional pathways program, which is a 14-week program designed to get people into entry-level jobs in architecture, engineering, and construction management without a college degree. And one of our success stories, Tanaya, is on here. She started in our trades program. We were able to successfully get her in to the bricklayers union, and she did that. But unfortunately, as you guys know, in a winter city, it's kind of tough. 4 or 5 months out of the year, you ain't got no work because you can't lay brick in the winter. And so Tanaya came back and became a participant in our professional pathways program, because it's an evening and Saturday program. And she graduated out of I want to say the last one, Tanaya, but you might have to tell me if it wasn't the very last one. And thankfully, Walsh decided to hire her on, and we are very, very proud of Tanaya, and obviously very proud of our relationship and partnership with Walsh. And I think now this is maybe the third placement we've had with y'all, Lakeisha. I know you have Jamara, and now you have Tanaya, but I can't remember the other alumni's name. But either way, that's an example. It really is an example of how this stuff can work, right? And just been very grateful for the contractor partners that we have had, because our success is because they've believed in our alumni, and it's also been because of our alumni. Our alumni
being ready.
Yes,
the alumni being ready.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can open the door. They got to walk through it. That's
Right.
the hard part, guys. So, I got to give all the credit to them, because I'd be nothing without them.
Yeah. And Manny, also, I think this is a good moment, and Gurnell, if you don't mind, to just clarify something for the folks watching. Because you brought up the program, your professional program, and then we brought up like my role and, some of our senior project managers and things like that. I just want to be clear, make it clear that those roles don't count towards CTA's workforce goals, because I know we were talking about the workforce goals initially, but they do obviously play an important role in exposure, awareness, and creating pathways into the
Yes.
construction career. So it definitely matters, especially with Tanaya, how it started, if she was in the trades and then transitioned into the role. So she counted on a project, initially in the trades, and then it flipped. But I just want to make sure, that we clarify that for people listening and watching in, because organizations like Revolution Workshop clearly and obviously help bridge the gap and connect people to skilled trades and professional careers.
That's an important point, Lakeisha. Thank you for bringing that out. I just want to also say, it's not a question in the chat, but more so of a comment from Ty Sawyer over at RSPJV. She says that they have another success story from Revolution Workshop, who was placed on a construction management on their construction management team as an officer and engineer, and has recently been promoted. So shout out to Revolution Workshop, because you guys,
thank you for sharing that.
Are understanding what it is that our contractors need. And to Lakeisha's point, you guys are doing the work to make sure that the workforce attainment is supported for our contractors, but also so that community residents and individuals that you guys are working with are able to connect to long-term sustainable careers. So great job, Revolution Workshop. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Manny, for joining us today as a guest speaker, and Lakeisha, you as well. Thank you so much for being here and providing all of your insights from your perspective and the Walsh Group. It's been wonderful to have you.
And
I don't
Lakeisha,
see any other
I'll
questions.
just tell you, I'll just say, add this, Gurnell, before we leave. I've been pushing them to include professional occupations as part of the goal, Lakeisha. So don't worry. We got some work to do at the committee level, but
Noted. Noted. Charles, I know Charles is on. You hear that, right, Charles? Noted. We have things to take back to our strategic planning meeting. Really quickly for everyone that's on, we have 2 minutes left before we get off. I just want to let you guys know about some upcoming CTA events. Our construction talks, again, are fourth Mondays every month. Next month, February 23rd, we'll be here again at 12 o'clock, virtually talking about historic firms in CTA construction. We'll also be in person on Wednesday, February 4th for our winter semi-annual workforce outreach event at Breakthrough Urban Ministries on the west side. There's QR codes next to each of these events so that you guys can scan and register to attend or exhibit if you're a contractor or a building trade and you want to exhibit. Also on Thursday, March 26th, we'll have our annual pre-apprenticeship fair. I'm so excited about that event at Metropolitan Family Services on the south side. That's also going to be from 10 to 12 p.m. And we'll also pilot a live not giveaway, but a live institution of providing RLE barrier reduction funds to communities, to community residents that are eligible once they attend. So that's really exciting. We're looking forward to being able to provide information for building trades and contractors at that pre-apprenticeship fair, as well as an introduction to our RLE barrier reduction fund. So that's really super exciting. How to stay connected. If you're wondering how to stay connected with us, just check your screen right now. Check your email for upcoming CTA outreach events and construction talks. For job openings with CTA construction contractors, you definitely want to connect with our workforce partners, CWIT, Chicago Women in Trades, and Hire 360. If you're interested in training, that's Revolution Workshop and Metropolitan Family Services. Visit our website, the CTA job openings, internships, and more at www.transitchicago.com/careers. Connect with us, follow us on CTA social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. It's all there. If you have any questions about construction talks or workforce initiatives, email us at workforceinitiatives@transitchicago.com. And if you want to see this construction talk or any previous construction talks, we're at CTA Doors Opening on YouTube. Thank you guys again very much for choosing to be with us today. We hope to see you next month at our next construction talks. And until then, stay safe, stay mobile, and stay connected. Bye.